Hey, it's Lindsay. I am making a video for the first time in quite a while since we left our house in New Jersey. And this is a view of our back deck. I figured it would be a little more pleasant than watching me squinting because the sun is out right now. It's a gorgeous day. We're in Virginia. It's about 78 degrees. And we get a lot of wildlife back here. We get deer, we have part of a creek, and we get lots of different birds, squirrels. The deer are so bold, and in the morning they walk around our yard, but sometimes they'll just come right up to the door. And when my husband's working, he'll see one peek through the door. It's really funny. So anyway, I haven't made a video in a while, and I am 38 weeks pregnant. So we started this channel because we were walking to Texas and God showed us how to prepare and what to do. And then suddenly we ended in Virginia after like 3 months. And we have been here for almost 3 years now. In September will be 3 years. So it's kind of amazing. We never would have expected that this was part of the plan. But last September, it was around the 29th, because that's my half birthday, I took a test and I was positive. We just moved into this house. God showed us that this was a place that we were to settle for a little while. We've become part of the community here. We joined a church, which has become like family. And so we just started getting involved. And my grandmother was turning 90. And so my husband and I drove down with my mom and my sister to celebrate with her in Florida. And when we came back, that same day was our day of closing on this house. I had just started a new job with the Department of Corrections, and about 2 weeks later, I was in my training, and I had taken the test and I found out I was pregnant. And so for 2 weeks, I went to training Monday through Friday, and I had to drive like almost 30 minutes to get there. But I was starting, my morning sickness was starting. And so I just want to share like my experience and kind of document with my voice what it was like, because I feel like I'm 38 weeks pregnant now, and I think it went by normal. It doesn't feel like it flew by at all. But I certainly kept to myself for most of it, and I wrote a lot down, mostly in my phone, because when I was really sick, I just didn't feel like doing much of anything, especially using a pen. And so I just think I would love to watch this video again one day, and maybe things that I'm sharing will help somebody else. But anyway, so for my first trimester, and by the way, I might get graphic, and if you're family or a friend and you don't want to know this about me, then I would just suggest stop watching. But if you don't care, I don't care, and so that's all as well. But just so you know, for warning, if I start talking about something involving the pregnancy and it's too much, you can just fast forward or back out. But there's no filter here with me right now. So I am 38 weeks, and in my first trimester, I progressed into a rapid sickness. It just overcame everything that my mind, my body, my thoughts, like just all my emotions and everything were going through so much. And I stayed in bed for a really long time. It was awful. actually. And I did take notes. I took notes for most of the beginning. From the moment I took the test, within a couple of days, I pretty much went right into full nausea. And I had to stick it out for my training, and I knew God wanted me in that training. I really learned a lot, and he showed me a lot about myself, but like through the first trimester, using that situation with I had a new job. I was working at the Department of Corrections. I had to take a 2-week training, and you had to be on time. I could eat, which was a blessing. Eating got me through the day, and drinking water, juice, whatever I could. I packed a full lunchbox. I was literally the only person in there that was eating like healthy organic foods. Everybody else was just like getting like a bag of chips here and there from the vending machine, but I was sucking down my water bottle, and I really jumped into mom mode. I really was excited. Cucumbers, I would eat carrots, I would have grapes, blackberries, raspberries, cheese, pepperoni, pretzels, whatever I could get my hands on. I had it in my lunchbox. I really liked those children's Z bars, and they helped me, you know, keep up my protein. I would probably every once in a while go out for lunch, but mostly I would make like a peanut butter sandwich or something like that. So early on in the pregnancy, I was able to eat, and the nausea didn't really get to me that bad. I started to try, I would suck on Jolly Ranchers, and I tried ginger and ginger chews or ginger tea. I watched a lot of YouTube videos on people's experience and what they did, but none of that stuff really worked for me, and it just seemed to get worse. And I would get these really strong headaches, and I don't know, I was still able to eat for a little while, but some mornings I would wake up, it would just be so, I had to be there by 8 o'clock, and so I had to wake up quite early to me. At the time, that was early. And I just remember like my husband would get up at the same time as me, and I would just cry. And I'd be in the shower and I'd be crying, and it would last for like 15 minutes or whatever, and then I would suck it up and get myself together, and he would help me out, make me tea or something for the road, and then I would get in the car and just go. And thank God, thank the Lord, I did not throw up in the car or in front of anybody at work. I was able to really conceal the fact that I wasn't feeling that well, but it was hard, and I did it. And I really commend women who work while they're pregnant. It has not been the best experience for me, as far as having a flexible schedule and being able to just go with my body and go with what God is saying at that time. And we have decided, and I knew from the beginning, that we would do a home birth. And so it's really important to me to like listen to my body and listen to the Lord, and just know that I've been designed to do this and to carry this little being and to be able to birth him. And we are having a boy. We did find that out. We did a baby reveal, so there's a video posted about that. We had our friend make a cake for our dogs. At the time we only had one dog, then I rescued another puppy, and so both of them are in the video, but they weren't as aggressive with the cake as we thought they would be. It was kind of big for them, and so it took a little while, so I had to smash it and help them. But we found out we're having a boy, and the experience of nausea, I've heard and researched, you know, through watching other testimonies and things like that, that every pregnancy is different. Every woman experiences different. My mom had always had, she had me and my sister, who was 8 years later, but with me, she said she threw up every day and was sick every day. And so I didn't really consider that too much for myself when I would hear her tell the stories. But then when I started not feeling well, and every day I just started not feeling well, and it would get worse and worse, that's when I started realizing, like, well, maybe this first one is probably going to be awful for me. So thankfully it did subside. By the 4th month, it calmed down. I was taking medication called Zofran. I had to go to the ER at one point early on. I just felt really dehydrated. I didn't want to drink any water. It's hard for me to drink water as it is, and I didn't want to drink any water or really juice. It wasn't even about the flavor of anything. I just wasn't thirsty, and I was just so sick. I didn't want anything in my body. The foods that I did try to eat, I tried everything. I was doing really well with fruits and vegetables, and there's a carpenter bee. One mistake I made, well, I tried peanut butter. I could eat peanut butter in the beginning, and then I really got sick of it. There was about a month and a half or 2 months where I did not want to do the dishes. I couldn't even look at them. My house was a mess. We had just moved in. We had no furniture. A lot of things were handed down to us by family and friends, thankfully. And I found some really good deals on Facebook Marketplace and whatnot. But if we couldn't find something that was worth the deal, then we weren't going to get it. And we finally got a couch, I would say, by the end of my first trimester, and so I started coming out of the bedroom. But until then, I was in the bed for at least a month straight. And I remember my husband working from home, and he, would be downstairs on phone calls all day, and we wouldn't even see each other. And I would come down maybe once a week or something, and he would come up and check on me now and then. But it was hard. I tried oatmeal. I ended up throwing up the oatmeal, so I stopped eating oatmeal. I ended up getting sick. I tried hummus and carrots one day. I really was like feeling that. I just wanted to try it because I like hummus before pregnancy, and I ended up throwing that up. That was the worst vomiting experience that I've ever had in my life. And the taste of the hummus was just awful. So I still believe that I could still eat it, but I have not eaten it again while I've been pregnant. I just do not want to touch that at all. And I thought that chickpeas would be good for me, but my body said otherwise. So there was a day when the nausea started getting really awful. I have a midwife, and she was advising me to keep crackers by my bed, which other people have testified. I did eat crackers for a while, and they did help settle my stomach a little bit. But I found, like, the things that I could tolerate and manage to eat or do to cope with the nausea, other than sleep it off, they only lasted about a week time. So I could only stand crackers for about a week or two. I could only stand ginger for about a week. Then I started Jolly Ranchers, and I would change the color because I couldn't stand the color after a while. The flavors and everything got so mundane and overdone, I guess. It didn't settle me. So this one particular day, I remember I had to get up to use the restroom, and we had bought furniture, but they didn't have the size furniture we wanted. It was the last showroom set, so we put that in a spare bed, and we were staying in that room until we found what we wanted for our master bedroom. Well, we bought a box spring and a mattress, so it was quite high up. And the motion of me getting out of bed, putting my feet on the floor, it was kind of like sailing. And I just felt like I went overboard, And when I put my feet on the floor, I got so sick. I immediately ran to the trash can and I got sick. And I can't remember if I had anything in my stomach at that time or not. I don't remember that in my notes, but I do remember getting sick, and then I got so angry. This like anger came over me out of nowhere, because I didn't feel good and I was tired. And because of that, I took the bed apart and I picked up the mattress and I threw it off to the side against the wall. And then I picked up the box spring and I put that out in the hallway. And my husband came running up the stairs. He thought something had happened to me, which it did. I got sick. And he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I just threw up and I'm not sleeping on this bed like this anymore. It's too high." So what we did is we ended up moving the mattress and the box spring into our master bedroom and just sleeping with that without the bed frame. And that took about a foot of distance from the floor off of our bed situation. So I did a lot better on that. Unfortunately, taking Zofran, and I was taking other supplements as well, vitamin C, D3, which really helped with bowel movements and digestion. My primary doctor had started me on B6 with, it's a combination, I'm forgetting the name right now, I'm sorry. And I started that, but that didn't help. And for 2 days, I tried 3 days, and it just didn't settle in, and I kept getting sick. And so I went back on the Zofran. Zofran was the only thing that could keep me settled in my stomach. The side effect of Zofran, which it's a chemotherapy anti-nausea drug, is that you get constipated. And so I believe I took it for about a month, 2 months, maybe 3 months. And I would just keep it, it comes in little packets, and I would keep a couple in my car, keep a couple in my wallet or whatever, and you take it as needed. I did not go on a high dose. I went on a low dose, and I only took it once, maybe twice a day. And I still suffered majorly with constipation. It was extremely painful at times, and there really was no remedy other than if I didn't take it, I would just be nauseous and vomiting. So it was one or the other. I had one extremely awful day of being constipated and was actually late to my midwife appointment because of it. And then I remember praying, and the whole time, even before I went on it, I prayed, because there were some questionable comments, from other people that said it might not be good during pregnancy because it's not been tested on pregnant women. It's a chemotherapy drug. And I prayed about it, and I just felt like this is the only option I have to be able to get through my day. And so I went on it. And then as I was praying after a couple months I had talked to my midwife, and I said, how much longer do you think I should be on this? She said, I really want to wean you off of it. And I was going into my second trimester, and I said, well, I'm quite nervous about that because I don't know how I'm going to feel. And around the middle of your pregnancy, most women stop feeling nauseous. So it can go longer. I wasn't formally diagnosed with, what is the name? See, the other thing that comes to you is baby brain. I have baby brain, and when I need to think of a word that's really quite important, I cannot remember it. It will come to me later, but I basically, hyperemesis gravidarum. I was not diagnosed with hyperemesis gravidarum. However, when I went to the hospital because I was dehydrated, they put me on an IV, and this was about the 2nd month of my pregnancy, and they did send me home with some information about it. The nausea was just so bad that I actually feel that I did suffer from that because I couldn't find any other solution. And if I wasn't on the medicine, I would be throwing up. But I really wanted to stop taking it. I kept praying, and I just said, God will show me when I'm not supposed to take this anymore. So, just a side note, here's some too much information, but I'm going to talk about it because it might help somebody going through something. I didn't know that there are actually a lot of people who suffer from having bowel movements and vomiting while they have bowel movements. It's a terrible thing, and there are a small percentage of people who actually suffer from that daily. And I experienced it only once during this pregnancy, but I was having to go to the bathroom and I was extremely constipated. And I remember praying this whole week about when was I supposed to stop this medication. And what ended up happening is I thought that I was having a miscarriage, and it was really scary, but I tried not to be overwhelmed by it. I just went with the motions because I didn't know, was I constipated, having to go to the bathroom, or was I having a miscarriage? And I'm not familiar with all of these body pains. So I ended up almost blacking out in the bathroom. And as I came back to, I felt this like flu-like nausea just come over my entire body. And as I came back to, I ended up going to the bathroom and vomiting, and I vomit all over the bathroom. And thank you so much to my husband because he cleaned it up for me. And I don't think he would mind me saying that because it was amazing. I wouldn't have been able to do it. I was so sick, I just didn't feel well at all, and I'm so thankful he was home. The hardest part of this pregnancy has been that he has a new job. He started his job in August, and it required him for the first 6 months to travel a lot. And so most of my first and second trimester, he has been gone every other week at least, or every 2 weeks, and he's gone for 2 weeks and home a week and then gone 2 more weeks. There was a period of time where he was gone for 3 weeks and he would only come home on the weekends. And so the struggle is that when you don't feel good, you really need someone to be there to take care of you. And I didn't have that option. And so I ate when I could get up and feed myself, and I lost 10 pounds in my first trimester. After this experience of the bowel movement and the vomiting, I knew at that moment that I was supposed to stop taking this medication, and I did. And within a day or two, I ended up not having any more nausea, and I'm so thankful for that. So then I had found, within that time period of being sick, there was a lot of conversation about, me working, and I was so sick that I couldn't go to work, and my director kept calling me, asking me if I was coming back, if I felt okay, and I didn't have any answers for them because I didn't know day to day how I was going to feel. And then there would be a period of a couple days straight where I would be fine, and then the sickness would just come back. And so I couldn't commit to my schedule. And there were some other factors with this new job that after my training, I tried to address them, and I didn't receive the concern that I felt as a pregnant woman, especially for working in a prison. And so I made the decision, after a lot of prayer, actually, I made the decision to resign. And I'd only been there for 3 months, so that was kind of hard. It was a really good job, and I just didn't feel that there was concern towards my concerns about safety and things that were happening that I had learned through my training, and they were not being followed in the actual practice of the job. So regardless, I found another job, and it ended up being a temporary position as well. But I was able to be alone in my car, put on my music that I like to listen to, and just be alone with God when I wanted to, and talk to my baby as he was growing, and be flexible where I could sleep in the morning and feel good when I woke up and not feel exhausted, and come home and then be able to be with my husband. And so that worked out really well, and I was able to get off that medication, and I started eating better and planning, you know, more in the house with the nursery and things like that. And I got to go back to church and get more involved little by little. There were still days where I felt exhausted, and the Zofran would sometimes create these really bad migraines. And so I was really grateful to be off of it, to get rid of that. I would love to make another video, just maybe a little more formal, where it is me, where I talk about the things that worked for me while I was pregnant. Maybe to give anybody who's watching, you know, some insight if they just found out that they're pregnant and they need to do some research. Watching YouTube videos really helped me through my pregnancy. It helped me relate to other women that were going through things that I didn't understand, that I was also going through. And it also helped me just pass the time. I watched a lot of Netflix movies and videos. I watched a lot of documentaries online. I slept a lot. I regret not going for walks as much or exercising. And I think just the fact that I struggled with feeling well took a toll on my mindset to do that. And then as the third trimester came up, I began feeling really heavy, and my body just felt so heavy, and it still feels heavy. And so it has gotten harder to exercise. But I'm not out of shape. I'm just lacking some shape. So I have gone from being 135 pounds to being 190 pounds. I'm very curious to see how big this baby's gonna be, and I'm praying that he's less than 8 pounds because I am doing an unmedicated natural water birth, but we shall see. And I believe that God has had everything planned this whole time. There is not a moment of pain or stress or strain that I feel I have endured that was for no reason. And I've never had a baby before, been pregnant before. And so everything that has been leading up to this moment is preparing me for the day. And I just feel really grateful. So I am almost 38 weeks, and my midwife came to my house on Tuesday, and we talked about where we were gonna set up the pool. So like a little water tub, and showed her around my kitchen and around the downstairs of where things are for her to access if she needs them. And I guess we'll go from there. So thank you guys for watching and listening. There's so much more to a 9-month pregnancy to share, but I think I just needed to get this off of my mind for now, and then I will make another video. We have an Instagram channel and a Facebook page titled the same thing as our YouTube channel, so feel free if you would like to follow our journey. We will still be going to Texas one day. That is not off the table, and a lot of people have asked us if we've given up on that idea, but God has another plan according to his will, and we are just submitting to everything that he's providing and doing, and it's just a blessing where we are right now. We love our neighborhood. It's very quiet, as you can tell. We just have a lot of nature. I mean, there's definitely a house right next to me, but you wouldn't really even know that anyone is around other than maybe a lawnmower here and there. And a dog barking now and then. And our neighbors are really awesome. My neighbor across the street has, from meeting her, she offered immediately that when she found out I was feeling nauseous and sick, that if I needed to be driven to my doctor's appointments or have groceries brought to me or anything, that she would be willing to take off a day of work or leave early and go to help me. And that really means a lot. You know, God knows we don't have family here. And so just to have this community close to us and our church family to support us and pray for us through all of this has been really a true blessing. So anyway, this is our deck. We do not have deck furniture yet. And every time I have tried to plant something, and we had planters here that the previous owner had left, the puppy that we found, Floyd, he has a few videos already on our YouTube channel. He has dug them up and dirt has been spilled all over. My husband takes the blower and blows it off the edge. So I don't know that I'll be planting anything back here for him to have access to, but I did plant some sunflowers in the front yard and some bulbs. So that was nice, but it's getting harder for me to bend over and do a lot of physical activity like that. So I will probably hold off. And if my husband isn't going to do it, we'll have to wait until after the baby comes. But we love where we are and we're here for the time being, and we will see what else God has in store. But thank you guys if you've been following our channel, for praying for us and following along. There's been a lot that's happened over the last 3 years here where it wasn't anything to document. It was very personal. The Lord had us working with families. We did share stories with people face to face, but it's not something that needs to really be filmed. And nowadays, people are obsessed with just filming everything and recording every moment of themselves, and they have to be in the picture. And we're not like that. This journey is not about showing off or just overdoing the social media. We document because we want to remember, and because God is doing a work in us while we are doing the work of God. And that's how iron sharpens iron. So we don't take a lot of pride in our posts. We just share them mostly so that we have the documentation. And we would love to write a book or maybe make a video about our journey later in some form, but unless God moves in that direction, we're just gonna be right here. So anyway, I appreciate your time, and I'm praying for you as well. And I pray that this message is received and that you learned something, or maybe I made you a little uncomfortable about things that I was talking about, but I don't know. I just pray that you're blessed and that you too would seek the will of the Lord with all your heart and know that He hears you and you will find Him, and that His promise never goes away. I will never forget what He has done in my life and how I can look back and see the person I was and who I am now, and just be so grateful and thankful. And I'm so ready to be a mom. And so it's Mother's Day this weekend, and even though he's not out yet, I know I'm a mom, and I just wish all the moms a happy Mother's Day. And those of you who are still waiting to become a mom, do not stop praying. God can move mountains, and it doesn't matter what you think you know or what a doctor tells you. Faith of a mustard seed is all you need. And I know people who have had children at 16 And I know people who have had children at 54 years old. So be blessed, be encouraged, and just know that God hears you and He's with you. And even through your morning sickness, He will get you through it, and it is all going to be okay. Love you guys.